So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. As you all know, we have been talking about the landing. They planned to be here earlier, but because both of them came down with COVID. That was like a month ago, so they couldn't. I don't want to scare anybody. It was not yesterday, so they couldn't come. But they were very ready to come. But then again, when they got sick, they couldn't. But they are here this morning. That shows the kind of commitment. And like I said last week, I'd like to say thank to Ruth Larson, Amy Kuth, John Beath. These are people who are coordinating our faith formation here at Peace Church and helping our adult faith formation at Peace Church, helping to get all these powerful and important people to speak to us. Dan and Holly, we are very honored. On behalf of Pastor Paul and the council, we want to say thank you for coming. And it's a great honor that you are here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to do the video. An ovation. We got clap. Yeah. We have a video we're going to show real quick.
It is important for those that have not experienced homelessness to know that we're people too. We're not here to destroy your businesses. We're not here to loiter. We're not here to destroy anybody's lives. We just want to pick up ours. We've been struggling so much, and it's hard. And we're working just as hard as any of you, working your 9 to 5s. We're working that hard.
Landing or to close, I don't know what I'd do because I come here every day and whenever I walk in the door I'm happy. This place helps me with my depression and everything. It helps me with my self-confidence too.
It can happen to you too, so don't be so proud, don't be so arrogant. Because I tell you, when it does happen to you, then I can sit there and go, hey, how you doing? What's up, buddy? Welcome to the landing. It's a place we can relax a little bit, and you don't have to be on guard so much. Regardless, none of us ever let our survival mode down by any means. But at the same time, here, at least we can chill a little bit and just watch TV for Christ's sakes. Even though one person seems to get 6 channels all the time, but that's all right. I could rather do that than sit outside and do nothing, or be harassed by the cops every time I turn around, or security somewhere. It gives us such a home. It's actually like our place of living in a way, because it's just one of those deals where you can relax and you feel Dan and them always invite you in. They're good people.
So as you can probably tell, that video is a little bit outdated. That was when we were still at the Silver Lake Station, and we are now in our own building. So very, very thankful for that. So those numbers are also outdated. We're looking to get some new video and new pictures taken so that we can update or get a new updated video to show. But from 2022, we served 837 unique individuals. Those 837 people made nearly 18,000 visits to our day center in 2022. So just to kind of update you from what the video showed.
You would think that we've been doing this for 4 years now, and you'd think that we'd have something that's, song and dance-ish, pat put together. We never do. It's always one of those things that we do what God wants us to do and talk about what God wants us to talk about when we're here. Thank you guys for staying after service, being here to listen to what we have to say. I don't know to what extent everybody knows about how we got started. I'm going to do the quick version. I can do a 2 or 3 hour long version if you want, but I don't think everybody wants to stay here. November, right before Thanksgiving in 2018, I was working as an ER nurse here in Rochester, and I had the blessings of working with a family who was experiencing homelessness. Family of 5 living in a Dodge Neon, found that out during the course of conversation. Made a couple of phone calls to try and find them shelter. Subsequently, another nurse said I gave them my personal contact information, which I didn't. They gave me theirs, but I was suspended for a couple of shifts after management decided they didn't like the fact that I was trying to help these people, I guess. That weekend, it was on a Friday that happened. That weekend we prayed a lot. We cried a lot because this was my dream job. I didn't know what else I was going to do. We'd had the vision of the landing in a completely different context a year prior to this. But through the course of the weekend, we talked, and hey, Pastor Paul, good to see you. We made it through the weekend. I didn't sleep much. Monday morning, I got up at about 4 o'clock. Got up. I hadn't been asleep. Went down and sat in my recliner, and I just started to cry. I broke down, and I said, God, what is it you want me to do? You need to give me the message. You need to tell me what it is that you want out of this. I'm suspended from my dream job. I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do. I know that you have a plan, but you need to tell me what that plan is. I told him I was all in, and at that moment, when I told him that I was all in, that I was ready to take that leap of faith, he made it very clear the vision came of the landing, taking care of homeless folks in Rochester, Minnesota, in a warehouse. Well, we ended up in a fire station. Now we're in an old pawn shop, so it's sort of fitting. It sort of fell into place. But the message is that this is what we were supposed to do. Holly came up at about 6 o'clock, and I'll let her tell you the rest of that story.
So I came upstairs, and this guy's my walking heart. He is the most compassionate, caring, kind man I have ever met, which really helped soften my hard edges because I was raised by a Marine, so I am marching orders, pack light, travel fast, right? So we complement each other well. So I came upstairs that morning, and he's sitting in the recliner with tears streaming down his face and his laptop on his lap, and I said, what? And he said, I know what we're supposed to do. I said, okay, what? He turned his laptop around. It said the landing. He had logo. He had mission statement. And he was ready to roll. He said, this is what we're going to do. I said, okay. Who am I to argue with what God told you we're supposed to do, right? So 2 nurses know nothing about homelessness other than it's awful. And we have people that are suffering from it. So we talked to people that were working in homelessness. Alex Hurlebos, who was a social worker at Salvation Army at the time, and other folks. And we started by walking the skyways with a backpack full of water and sandwiches and granola bars and talking to people and just building relationships. And then it went into totes of gloves and socks and shoes in the back of our Ford Edge and going to parks. And people started showing up and saying, you need something? Talk to Dan. Dan follows through. He'll get it done for you. And building relationships. Over time, then, we decided to go into a mobile outreach unit, an 18-foot box truck, 14-foot box truck, with shelves of toiletries and clothes and shoes and food and a remote workstation. So all the things that we could do in a day center, we can do remotely out in the camps and the bridges and the parks for those folks that are shelter resistant, aren't comfortable coming into a space. Amazing how God had that worked out, because as soon as our mobile outreach unit hit the streets, COVID also hit. And so if we had been in a building, it would have been empty. So God put us right where we needed to be. You want to?
So, it's never, I guess I sometimes find words hard to come by, which if you know me, you'd say, sure, right, Dan. We didn't know what we were doing. We knew that this was what we were supposed to do, and we just didn't know what that was going to look like. And every day has been an adventure. Every day has been a learning experience. Every day has been the biggest blessing that God could ever have given us. He's provided for the organization. He's provided for us personally and spiritually every step of the way. But to be able to go out and to meet somebody on the streets, under a bridge, in a park, that has no hope, that has absolutely no idea of which direction to go, which foot to put in front of the next, and to be able to help them make those next steps is an experience that is hard to put into words. It's hard to equate to anything other than a blessing from the Lord. So the folks in the video, J Love was the first person that spoke. J Love came to us with addiction issues, things of that nature. She left us to go to treatment, and the last word we got was that she was back with family. The next young man in the red sweatshirt still is in and out of treatment programs. He's still in and out of our facility. We see him not regularly, but he comes in when he needs services, and we support him the best we can. The big burly guy sitting on the bench, his name's Lumpy. It's not his name, but it's what he goes by. But I've known Lumpy ever since we started doing this. Lumpy used to live under a bridge here in town. He lived there for 4 years. And when we were faced with the realization that we weren't going to be able to stay in the fire station when the city wasn't going to renew our lease, Lumpy came in and sat down at my desk, and he's a big, tough guy. We had a really long talk, and it ended up he was sitting there crying, going, I don't know what I'm going to do if you guys aren't here. I don't know what I'm going to do for food, because that means I'm going to have to go back to stealing food from Hy-Vee, and I don't want to do that. Luckily, God blessed us, and he didn't have to go stealing food from Hy-Vee. Luckily, God blessed him, and he got housing. He is in one of the subsidized housing units here in town right now, and is being very successfully housed. We do have a lot of struggles with keeping people that have been experiencing homelessness for a long period of time in housing. You have to relearn how to do all of those things again. And that's another whole different part of that conversation.
So the things that we do are good and important. We provide shelter during the heat and the cold. We provide showers, laundry, personal hygiene. We have on-site medical care. We have on-site social services. We are now doing AA and NA meetings, in great part because of this woman right here, Gail, who is volunteering her time to lead those meetings. So thank you. Several volunteers in your congregation. I'm sorry, is she here? I was talking with her earlier. There you are. So if you want to know what it's like to volunteer down there, give these ladies a shout and chat with them about their experiences. We are now probably going to be bringing in peer recovery support services as well. So all kinds of good things. But more importantly than what we do is really how we do it. Our 4 core values are compassion, kindness, humanity, and grace. Because like Dan said, we have trouble sometimes keeping people housed, right? Or we get them stable and then they start using again. Or we get them somewhat stable and then they end up in jail again. And they come back. And they expect the idiot, what'd you do, right? And to be shamed for choices that they made or consequences that they've had to live with now. And what they get is, hey, buddy, welcome back. We're so glad you're here. We love them unconditionally because that's what God gave us, right? He gives us, isn't that what we do to God every single day? He gives us grace, we go screw up again, and we come back, head hanging low, and we say, sorry, God. And he says, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I love you. And so I know that I don't take that grace for granted. Anytime, every day I need it. And so it's my joy, it's my privilege to be able to give that kind of love to the people that walk in our doors. I've had one of our girls, Katie, she was doing really well. She comes and goes in her wellness, but she was doing really good. And I said, Katie, I'm so proud of you. I said, I don't want to sound like your mom, but I'm so proud of you. You're doing the hard work. And she said, you're the closest thing I have to a mom. And every time I see her, she gives me a big hug. And I know that that's an important thing for her. So it's a joy and a privilege to do what we do.
One of the big questions that we get all the time, and this is important for Holly and I, we don't outwardly evangelize in the church, or in the day center, sorry. We haven't done that in the past because we were in government buildings and we were places that wouldn't let us do that. But we always got the question, how do you spread the word? How do you spread the gospel? It's really easy. We love them like Jesus would. They're no different than you and I. They're no different than anybody sitting here in this congregation right now. The only difference is that they've made some bad decisions or they've had some health problems that have gotten them to this point. There's not one person I've run up against that really wants to be homeless. People will tell you, they just want to be that way because they don't have to follow the rules. I don't believe it for a minute. What I believe is that they don't know that there's a better way. When Glenn sat there and talked to me, Lumpy sat there and talked to me at my desk, he said, I don't know anything any better. My parents struggled for years just to keep a roof over our heads. They never had anything. We never had anything. They had to work 2, 3, 4 jobs, and I don't have the education. Why should I do that? There's no upside for me. We just have to support them, and we love them, and we keep them going. And we show them that there's a better way to go than living under a bridge. It's tough sometimes. But what we do is we give them that soft place to land at the landing. We have a little under 5,000 square foot building now that we can call our own. It has a nice big day room that has tables, chairs, a bistro. We have a commercially licensed kitchen that we're trying to get up and running. That's a whole nother set of conversations. We have shower facilities. We have ample bathroom space. We have a basement that's full of donated items that we give to them for free: clothing, personal care items, sleeping bags, tents. All of that stuff is also on our mobile outreach unit. I think one of the things that I am always so excited about, besides the fact that we just have this, is the medical services that we're able to provide. Dr. Whelan, who's sitting here with us today, is one of the main folks that help us with this. We've got a great crew of docs from Mayo Clinic that volunteer their services at the Landing MN. The community paramedics, Dr. Rosaline McCoy, started that program during the pandemic, and they have joined us. And we have medical care for our folks that are experiencing homelessness 6 days a week right now, which is, it's free to them. We feel that it's a service that is very much needed in that population for keeping them out of the hospital. And we've done, I think, a very successful job in doing those things.
Can I explain just one thing there? So I think it's important to think kind of through that process and put yourself in their place and why it's important. When we first started, we really thought that our role was going to be a hub and to connect the folks we serve out to the many services that they need, because there are a lot of services here in Rochester. That's what we started out wanting to do. What we learned over time was that with this population, it's very difficult for them to connect. And so it's way more effective if we can bring as many of the needed resources under one roof as possible, so that when they need it, it's right here in a place that they're comfortable, in people that they trust. Because I could say, somebody's got some cellulitis or an infection in their arm, and I'll say, hey buddy, that looks infected. We should probably have you seen. I can get you an appointment at the Northeast Clinic next Tuesday at 2:00 with Dr. So-and-so. They don't know Dr. So-and-so. They don't trust Dr. So-and-so. First they have to remember that they have that appointment, find transportation to that appointment, want to go to that appointment, and physically get there. If I can, that's not going to happen. And then that's a wasted resource for you who might be able to use that appointment time and couldn't get in because somebody else had that appointment that went unused. So it's a win-win for the community, for medical services, for our friends. If I can say, hey, you know, we should have a doctor look at that. I've got Dr. Whelan right here today. Let's go see him. And they know him, they know us, and if we trust somebody, they're more likely to trust somebody because they trust us. So it's just more effective and efficient, and so that's why we bring all those services under one roof to try and make it accessible for them. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. We should be more polished, I think, Hall. You know, I was sitting there while she was talking. I'm sitting there going, you know, we should have this presentation down to where it just goes from here to here. And I thought, nah, no. I was going to ask you guys what you thought. I get choked up. To look at where we started, two people that didn't have the slightest idea what we're doing, to today where we have a building that's totally remodeled, that has social services, that has medical, that has, you know, we're talking with some psych providers from both Zumbro Valley Health Services and Mayo Clinic to peer support, to all the things. I mean, and somebody can come in and take a shower in these really nice bougie tile-lined showers that we've got. It's like, it's a better shower than what we've got at home. Gail's seen them, she'll tell you. You know, but it's, what it boils down to is you all and the other people in Rochester that have supported us, and one really great, big, wonderful God that He blesses us on the daily. It's just, see, I'm losing my words again. Examples of things, the blessings. One of my favorite stories is when we were at the fire station, I was sitting in there and Alex and I were talking, and one of the homeless guys, Eddie, came in and he said, hey, some lady in a red convertible just pulled up out front and handed me this bag of socks, and she said, take them straight into Dan and tell him to look in the envelope in the bottom of the bag. I said, okay. He sets it on the desk, turns around and walks out, and I look, and there's a bag full of brand new socks and an envelope in the bottom of it. And I pulled the envelope out and I opened it up and I looked at Alex and I pointed back to the kitchen because it was an area in the back of the office area that nobody could see us. And he said, what? And I said, I just did this. And walked back there, and I took the envelope and I turned it upside down and dumped it out. It was full of new 50s, 100s, 20s. There was $1,000 in cash in there. And I looked at Alex and I said, that wasn't some lady in a red convertible. That was Jesus in a red convertible that just blessed us. Because nobody else in their right mind would drop off a bag of socks with an envelope with $1,000 in cash to some homeless guy standing in front of a homeless shelter, because nobody has that kind of faith except for Jesus. So nobody. So I mean, that was, you know, we have a couple that reached out from Austin, Texas, that wanted us to get involved with a ministry down there that shelters homeless individuals, and they flew us down there to meet with the people that have started this and have turned into very good friends and donors of our organization. And it's not because we're something wonderful, it's because God has brought them to us and brought us together. So we thank you guys for bringing us in today. I don't know that this is way off of our usual presentation, but
Is it?
I don't know.
What's our usual presentation? Yeah, I think to kind of feed off of what he was saying, when we first had the concept of the landing, people would say, when are you going to start the landing? And we'd say, well, when God gives us the winning lottery numbers, because who could afford to do this, right? And instead, he took away half our income and said, go ahead and do it now anyway. Trust me, I got you. And we did, and he does on a daily basis. And as I look back, I'm so thankful that he did it his way because if we had won the $1 billion mega lottery and built a fabulous day center homeless mecca, everybody would have said, look at Dan and Holly and these great things they've done. And now we get to stand here and say, look at our amazing God and what he has done. And I'm not surprised by it anymore, but I'm always in awe of it every day. So I invite you guys to come in, be a part of the landing, and experience it for yourselves, and talk with the folks here that have been there. It's life-changing because you see people. It's easy, I think, the distractors. You see somebody flying a sign outside Walmart, outside Quick Trip on the corner, right? And what thoughts come through your head? How do you define that person? Oh, a drunk. Oh, an addict. Oh, a crazy person. And I truly believe that those labels are distractors, that the enemy is trying to keep us from seeing them the way God sees them, as just people he loves, and that we get to love. So come and meet these fabulous people, these people that will be happy to tell you their story. Because once you hear their story and know them as people, they become your friends. We'll often talk about our friends experiencing homelessness. These are members of our community, and they need us to rally around them. So I invite you to be a part of it. We need your prayers. Obviously, we're firm believers in the power of prayer because that's what got us here. We also need donations. We need financial supporters, part of our community that way. We just kind of figured out, we just opened in November when the cold weather hit. Utilities last month to keep the place warm, over $2,000 just for the heating, right? And then there's all the other things. So it's a $50,000 to $60,000 a month project. So we invite you to walk alongside us financially as well. Anything you want to?
I mean, is God providing $60,000 a month?
He is.
It's amazing what happens. Holly sometimes says you don't need to say this, but it's important to me to say this. Sugar mama, right? Kept husband. Holly still works full-time at the clinic. She's on a breast cancer team. I don't take or derive any income from what we do at the Landing I'm in. It's just something that I will not do. I did it for 3 months when we went from Mayo Civic Center to cohabitating with Salvation Army and started our first city contract, and it was the worst paycheck I ever got because it's not what God wanted me to do. We haven't suffered. We continue to be able to do the things that we do. We still tithe to our home church, and we aren't suffering. And we are able to bless these folks, and that's very important to me because I know people will sit there and go, well, you're probably making a ton of money. I said, I'm going to make zero.
I'll double your pay.
She'll double my pay. There we go. I will get 2 more rolls for dinner tonight. There you go. Or another granola bar from downstairs in the basement. There you go. But what we do need are your prayers, as Holly said, and your financial support. We get all kinds of clothing donated. If you have clothing to bring to us, or you know somebody that does, that's great, but we are very specific on our needs. We need blue jeans for the guys. We need blue jeans for the women. T-shirts, long sleeve T-shirt type material shirts, hoodies. They don't like crew neck sweatshirts because they can't pull them up over the head to protect the back of their neck. We need tennis shoes for men. We have a very hard time getting men's shoes because guys blow through their shoes. They wear them out until they're hanging off their feet, whereas a lot of the females that are in this world, I don't like these, I'm going to get new ones, and they take them into the store and trade them in on a new pair. And we get all of these really nice ladies' tennis shoes that look like they've only been worn once. So men's shoes are hard for us to come by. We end up buying those things. But casual wear, work wear, formal wear, those things we don't need. Our volunteers spend a ton of time sorting through them and then going to Savers. Not that we don't appreciate it, but we just can't use those kind of things right now. The population we work with are not somebody who just lost their job and didn't plan well and didn't have any money in the bank and have to go and stay with their friends on their couch for a little while until they regroup and are able to move into another apartment or whatever. We're dealing with those folks that have struggled for so long, that have such bad criminal histories that they can't get housing, have got such bad addiction issues that they can't get housing, that they've got such bad mental health issues that they can't get housing. History is a bad thing. Felonies are a bad thing. We struggle to get these people housed, so we give them that soft place to land during the day. Our friends at Catholic Charities, who runs the Rochester Community Warming Center, give them that soft place to land at night. At least we have that. When we started in 2019, there was 50 to 60 people sleeping in the skyways of between the library parking ramp and the Galleria building downtown Rochester. That was our big wake-up call. We've worked very closely with Mayor Norton over the years, and she's been very supportive of what we're doing. Luckily, the county got the word and opened up the warming center. So we have that to work with. Our friends at Dorothy Day House do a rock star job as well for overnight shelter for these folks. But we need to do more. We need more housing. We're working on that. Our friends in Austin, Texas are a great example of what we need to do. If you want to see something really interesting, look at Community First Village. There's a big website, and it tells Alan Graham's story very well. And that's the model that we're looking at doing. But you can support us financially. You can.
To go back to Gail's question, we do get some grants. We do have some grants from Mayo Clinic and other places, but the vast majority of our support comes from folks just like you. The vast majority of our support comes from anything from $5. We have monthly reoccurring donors everywhere from $5 a month to $6,000 a month. So please help us pay the electric bill and find where God puts it on your heart, and don't be afraid to step out in faith.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to answer questions. I know Jerry's standing over here going, hey, you guys need to stop. Shush. Anybody have any questions for us? We love questions. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So you said, I think you said sheets. The question was, is she drives by it weekly. Can she stop and drop stuff off? We're open from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. I try and tell people to come between 9 and 5 to drop off donations, just because before 9, we're checking people in. It's very hectic. And around 5 o'clock, they're starting to serve dinner. So, yes. If they're in good shape, we will take what we call gently loved shoes are great. But we look for tennis shoes or work boots or outdoor type boots. Casual dress shoes like slip-ons and stuff like this, you have to think about what these people are using them for. Walking miles a day in a pair of loafers is very uncomfortable. So we try and get shoes for them that are good for their feet. One of the things that we did, I'm going to throw this in real quick, we partner also with the School of Medicine at Mayo Clinic, and they did a foot care clinic for our folks not too long ago, which was a huge thing, because you have to think that if you're homeless, you're walking from point A to point B all the time, and your feet aren't good. A lot of our folks don't take their shoes off for weeks at a time, and their feet are not in very good shape. So we try and make sure that they've got good shoes, that they've got clean socks, and that their feet are well taken care of. One last thing that just popped into my mind, we do pet wellness clinics because a number of our friends have pets, and we just had our second pet wellness clinic, and we've taken care of 24 different pets over the last 2 months, which is really sort of cool. So, yes, ma'am.
In addition to, financial, are there volunteer opportunities that you need of different volunteers?
Yes. Yeah, so we use volunteers to serve coffee and snacks at our bistro. Gail's there several days a week, every day a week, are pretty close, yeah. Okay, 8 to 10 in the morning. Friend right behind you is there 2 days a week as well. And then she also helps our crew downstairs sorting through donations. We are in the process of getting our commercial kitchen up and running. Once that is running, we'll be looking for community groups to come in and prepare and serve meals. So we do require a very brief, it's like 30-minute volunteer training. So you can go to the website, thelandingmn.org, and there's a volunteer tab. Sign up for the volunteer training. Once you have completed the volunteer training, they will send you a link that you can sign up for whatever volunteer shifts work for you. Great question. Yes, sir.
Can our teens come and volunteer at your age?
So between the ages of 13 and 18, is it 13? Yeah, we require an adult to supervise them. Under 13, we're not allowing it this time. Yes, ma'am.
So a while back, we worked on it, Tamara and I and a friend of ours. A while back, Tamara and I and a friend of ours went there and we made chili. And the reason, sort of that it came to mind was I was processing donations and noticing how many cans of beans that we had, right? And I thought we should be able to do something with this. So we went and we made chili and served chili and cornbread. And it was a great success, great hit. I was thinking that, while the kitchen is not necessarily up and running, we might, be able to get a gang together from here and put together a spaghetti dinner or something and bring it there cooked and ready to go and serve. That was one of the ideas that I had. When the kitchen actually opens up, I'd like to maybe try and once a month get a gang to go in and make something for dinner. You don't realize how much the hot meal is appreciated in the evening. They get snacks and sandwiches and things like that, but a hot meal in the evening is something they really appreciate.
And I mean, think about the city of Rochester, 30 groups. If we just found 30 groups to do one meal a month, we'd feed everybody every day. Other questions?
How many people would you say you serve on a night? Because I'm going to help you with that meal.
So what I can tell you is that on a daily basis, we see 60 to 70 unique individuals that come through the door for services. That doesn't mean they're all going to be there at dinner. Probably somewhere we try and tell people 40 to 50. I would just as soon have more. So figure 60, and if we have enough left over, we package it up for lunch for the next day. So right now we're just doing a hot meal at dinner time. Salvation Army offers their hot lunch program, and we don't want to infringe on theirs. Quite honestly, our folks don't leave. They come, they're there for the most part, they stay. But we have heat and eat stuff that they can heat and eat during the course of the day. Macaroni and cheese cups, ramen noodles, Chef Boyardee, stuff like that. So we also, if you want to donate something, you're at Walmart, grab a bunch of Chef Boyardee ramen ravioli cups. Those are great. Tuna packs, things like that. Tuna packs, crackers, things that aren't really hard in nature. Chewy or crunchy granola bars are really bad because a lot of our clients don't have good teeth. So we try and stay away from that kind of thing. So bags of chips, we don't get a lot, and those are always a treat because you can mush those up. Packs of crackers and peanut butter are always nice, things of that nature. So, other questions? Well, guys, thank you very much. Pastor Paul, Pastor Jerry, everybody. It's a blessing to be able to be here, so thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much to Dan and Holly for the great job they are doing. One of your former presidents said, think about what you will do for your country, not what your country will do for you. And this is a step taken. Your community, your neighbors, what you're doing is impacting the entire country. That volunteer, what's the name, please? Gail, and our own congregational member who is volunteering there. Let's give them a hand of clap. So, thank you very much for coming. In Pastor Paul's words, Don, we will make it happen. Our doors are always open. Reach out to us. Thank you very much. And thanks for participating. Thank you.